Empire.
Deal back to Hachimura.
First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
It was more just shocking to hear from him and understanding that he gets the most assists from me and the most spoon-fed baskets ever.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
To sit up there and to say you don't have a culture problem in the nation's capital, everything about the organization points to a culture issue.
One guy took a in another guy's shoe.
I'm a little pissed off about it, but I know how I am. I was kind of expecting it. It's disrespectful.
It was like Eric Killmonger going for total domination. What's up is mine.
We're not going to be fucking sunk this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions! Yeah!
This podcast is all over social media, so follow us on Twitter at BeltwayBroPod, Instagram at Beltway_sports_bros_podcast. Also the Facebook group, just search Beltway Sports Bros Podcast. And you can also find us at BeltwaySportsBros.com. There's a podcast player right on the front page. If someone you know doesn't want to or know how to download a podcast app or even knows what a podcast is, just tell them to go to the website and hit play. Simple as that. Thank you for joining us today. We are the Beltway Sports Bros. I'm Matt Vazana, and as always, my brother Noel. Hey, Noel, first off, I wanted to mention something we're really excited about. So Empire Media has partnered up with WTOP. Obviously, we've been listening to that since we've been born, always in Mom and Gramps' car and everything.
Absolutely. It's so awesome. It's weird. It really is. It's really weird.
So WTOP has made a podcast app, and it's called Podcast DC. Obviously, you can find our show on there as well. This app has hundreds of options in local news, health, and, of course, the DMV region. Download the Podcast DC app to hear all of Empire shows, of course, as well as other great content. So it's just awesome because all the DC content is in one place. It's kind of hard to find it all in the Apple Podcasts and stuff like that, but it's all in one simple location. So we like that.
Part of that DC family.
Yeah, we're there. Moving up in the world, Noel, or at least in DC.
Anything's up from the bottom, man.
Yeah, we're getting there. But also, if you haven't done this yet, I'm sure you've heard the commercial on the last few episodes, but go to monkeyknifefight.com. Still love that name.
It's so awesome.
Never
it's
leaves
so
your
random. It's so random, but you never forget it.
No. Use our promo code BELTWAY and get $5 just for signing up. Also, something I didn't mention before, you get double your first deposit, up to $100. That's your first deposit, though. Anything else, I think it's like $50. Basically, if you put $100 in, you'll get an extra $105 to use. So $205 total, if that makes sense.
How much of that have you lost so far?
205, I believe. No, I haven't.
Well, I know you lost one game.
Yeah.
Because we went into it together.
Yeah, I put the $5, and so did you, on the more or less game, on the Steph Curry versus Zion more or less thing. They said that Steph Curry would score above 35.5 or below.
Right.
And then Zion would score above 28.5 or below. So I lost because I've had Curry and Zion below.
It was close, man. We were both watching and we were texting each other. Curry had 37, so I had the over on that, and I had the under on Zion. I mean, the Pelicans suck, but Zion still scores points. I just took a flyer at it and hoped that he would go under. And plus, for us to be different.
I didn't think there'd be a chance in hell Zion was going to score more than 28.5 points.
I mean,
Steph, I was a little bit, and of course, 37, so,
No.
Born loser over here, Noel.
I'm up one.
So that was fun. So it adds a little something to games you could give a shit about,
right.
So tap the link on the page summary. It takes you directly to our link. We have a specific link now, Beltway Sports Bros link. Super easy. I don't even think you have to put Beltway in anymore. It really just takes you right to it. So please do that. Okay, so no top 5 this week because this is kind of a reaction show to the draft. This is a late one tonight for you, Noel.
Man. I'm on fumes over here.
Since I don't sleep, time doesn't matter to me.
Right.
But. So the first round just ended. We wanted to get into all that, of course. But starting things off, big news before the draft started. So 2020 league MVP, Aaron Rodgers, apparently is demanding a trade for a second time in a way. But if you remember, Matt LaFleur decided to kick a field goal at the end of that Bucs game in the playoffs, and they eventually lost. Rodgers kind of hinting at a trade, and we chalked that up as kind of frustration after a big loss. But it seems like it's getting worse. Also, back in 2020, the Packers picked Jordan Love in the first round of the draft. He didn't enjoy that very much, and now, apparently the 49ers offered their third overall pick, which they traded, the sun and the moon for Aaron Rodgers, and they respectfully declined, which again did not thrill Rodgers very much. So he wants to be in California next to Jeopardy and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So. His girlfriend, is an actress, and she's out in California, so he wanted to be in the sun. Shit, he's been in Wisconsin long enough. That gray state.
I think the lakes are still frozen there currently, so it must be a blast.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, he wanted to kick the door in on this draft, and that really sparked the whole thing. That's what really, I was like, holy shit. I said, I don't think much is going to happen here because the Deshaun Watson thing is off the table, basically, because of all of that harassment shit and all that. So there's no nibbles there right now. And then all of a sudden, this Aaron Rodgers thing, I sent you that thing an hour before the draft started? I mean,
why wouldn't he do this? He obviously knew that he wanted to be traded.
Matt, because the contract negotiations stalled. That's what reignited this whole thing. And he said, you know what? Fuck it. You guys don't want to pay me what I want. You're grabbing this other quarterback. You're doing shitty calls in the playoffs, yada, yada. And enough is enough.
But he loves LaFleur. He said numerous times how much...
I'm starting to think everything in this league is so fucking copycat. And now Brady goes to the Bucs and he's revitalized there. And everybody's like, I can do it too. And it's starting to become like the NBA, where guys just want to experiment. And he's 38 years old. Maybe he's sick of being in the damn cold. I don't know what is. Like I said,
his bones are getting brittle. Noel.
They are. He's busted his ass in Green Bay. I think you're right. Part of it is, hey, you want to retire out to Florida or California? One of the two. You sure as hell don't want to retire in Wisconsin.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
But when you bring up the trade, Packers said there's a 0% chance they will trade him. So for the record, and you also mentioned the contract extension, that he has not accepted it, of course, and maybe he was, I guess $70 million a year, whatever they offered him, which, I have no idea what they offered him, but I'm sure it was
competitive.
No doubt. But for the record, Rodgers currently is owed a league high $37 million in 2021 and then $39 million in 2022. 2 years left on his contract, and 37 years old, will be 38.
Yeah, by the time the season starts, whatever.
So let me ask you this. With all that being said, from a Washington perspective, would you trade for this guy? And if so, what would you offer?
Well, now we're speaking hypotheticals on something. If it was going to happen, it would have happened already. I don't think... I'm sure there were calls made. I don't know if Washington was one of them, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think that now that's postponed itself to the point that you're in a wait and see, and they'll come back to the negotiating table and probably resolve this. I don't see him going anywhere. But yes, I would make the trade. Absolutely. I would bet the farm on that. Washington has pieces in place. Obviously, they have some holes that the draft needs to address. But this has taken you from a 500 football team to potentially... We're pushing, NFC championship talk here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think still a possibility. If he really is serious here, and this isn't just strictly about the contract negotiations, that he really wants out. I mean, they just drafted Love, like I mentioned, so it's not like they don't have a quarterback ready to go. Just because they're not going to get a first-round pick this year doesn't mean you can't give up 3 first-round picks the next 3 years. This is... in my opinion, if Rodgers was on this team, would be a Super Bowl contender. I'm not saying they'd win the Super Bowl, but they get pretty damn close.
Absolutely. And confidence level in the entire team would go up. Offensive side of the ball has a voice, which it's not McLaurin, who's just a kid still.
Right.
And it just automatically gives you credibility on that side of the ball. They already have it in spades on the other side of the ball. On the offensive side, they are still... Fitzpatrick, yes, can fit that mold, but his credibility is he's been there, done that, journeyman, knows the business.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers is a whole different echelon of, I'm the shit.
Right. Yeah, and playing with these young players that he would have potentially on Washington, it's not like it's something he's not used to in Green Bay. That's all they have. It's not like they ever get high-priced free agents that come in to help him out. And eventually, like we talked about, you got to pay this D-line. It's already coming up with a couple of the guys that are there. They just gave Deron Payne a 5th-year option. So these contracts are coming up here, and you do, in my opinion, whatever you have to do to get this guy.
Sure.
I'm saying 3 first-round picks plus. You're going to probably get legitimately, with the way things are going, 3 to 4 MVP caliber years out of him. Possibly he'd be 42. But he hasn't dropped off at all. His arm's still a rocket. He still runs. He still has speed.
He's still got all the goods.
Yeah.
And he's still got the swag. He hasn't lost any confidence, that's for sure. And I can tell you one thing that it did do, if it doesn't pan out, it made this draft when it started a hell of a lot more interesting. Because at the end of the day, the draft is the draft. You wait to see what happens, if there's going to be any trades. And that definitely was, as things started to tick, you're saying, okay, there's a team with a quarterback need. Are they going to do it? Is there a team with a quarterback need, or is they're going to do it? Okay, Washington's close. What are they going to do? Are they waiting on Fields? Are they waiting on Mac Jones? Are they going to make that push? And all of a sudden you see trade, and then Green Bay appears. How beast,
Oh my God.
As soon as that would have happened, you would have known. You're like, holy shit. And like Rappaport comes on, rap sheet, like a minute before it starts. The Washington Redskins have traded for Aaron Rodgers.
The Washington who?
The Washington Sorry.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with that too. But yeah, it didn't happen. And again, I doubt that they were negotiating a contract till this morning, and they just threw the contract at him the day of the draft. Do this like a week ago. Give people some time to start throwing some trade demands at you.
Yeah, it was too
too little too late, and
yeah.
What do you expect them to just trade you today? I mean, of course not. That's ridiculous, but I still think it's on the table if a team comes out.
Well, we'll see. Hey, I'm game, but unfortunately at this point it didn't happen in this first round, so they're going to have to start taking stuff for the future.
Sick of competing against thousands of professional bettors with algorithms? What about spending all day analyzing salary caps and lineups using other daily fantasy sites? Then you should try Monkey Knife Fight. Amazing name, by the way. I've used most, if not all, the other sites, and trust me, I just stopped because I don't have time to put all that work in. MKF is easy to play. MKF offers all of the major sports plus UFC, golf, esports, soccer, college basketball, NASCAR. You can pretty much bet on anything your little heart desires. MKF offers fun contests that are super easy to play. For example, there's a game called More or Less. Simply pick more or less on different player props. Think Patrick Mahomes. Will he go over his 288.5 yard number? Select more. Think Lamar Jackson. Will he stay under his 212.5 yard number? Select less. Get both right and win. Simple, right? We're getting old. The less we have to think about, the better. I've been using this site personally for the last few months, and it's so user-friendly. And honestly, it's made me actually care about what happened in, for example, the Rockets Magic game the other night. Quite possibly the least interesting game in the NBA this year. So go to monkeyknifefight.com and use our promo code BELTWAY, and you get a free $5 game just for signing up. No strings attached, I promise. You also get a first-time depositor bonus, which they cover 100%. Deposit $10, you get $10 free. Deposit $100, you get $100 free. This offer is not going to last long, so tap the link in the episode description and sign up. Again, using our promo code BELTWAY. So easy, even a drunk monkey could do it.
Empire.
So moving on to the draft.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
What the fuck was with that stupid chair?
It was an homage to last year, Noel.
I get it. What is it, his fucking throne? Like, hey, commoners, you may sit for a couple of minutes in my throne. Like, fuck you, asshole. Sitting in that dirty-ass fucking leather chair. And these people going up there, my God.
Yeah, they were...
Holy shit. Some of these losers that were sitting in that thing.
They had some monsters in there.
I
don't know how some of them even fit in that lovely chair there. But
did you see that Denver Broncos dude? It wasn't like the barrel guy because I think he's dead, but it was like the new one, like Barrel Guy 2.0, and he's sitting in the fucking
up-and-comer.
Yeah, like the new one. And what the fuck? And a couple of them tried to go over by the podium near him, and he's like, commoner, you're lucky you're up here.
Yeah.
Like you could tell him doing like eye glances over, like, all right, you're getting a little close now.
And you could hear him like going off of the script, like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
like,
okay. Oh, you excited? Oh.
Well, but why the hell does the NFL feel, just like the NBA draft, feel obligated to all of these, like, oh, we're doing this for, we're such a charitable league, we're constantly tooting their own horn.
You see how woke we are, and you see how we have our hands dirty just with you because we're with the people. Like, shut up. It's all a self-promotion, and they bring these people up. I mean, the fans to do the picks. Oh my God, that one, the Cowboys lady?
Oh my
She had like the full leather cowboy garb on.
I know.
She was a mental health counselor. Well, I don't want to be counseled by you, sweetheart. I mean, she was a complete nut job.
Yeah.
She was screeching. Even Goodell looked over like, all right, you good?
She was jumping around. I was like, I thought she was going to knock over the podium.
Right. Why are you bringing these people up? Or at least prep them. Look, this is a PR move. Okay?
Yeah. We don't want you up here.
We really don't want you here. We're doing this to get a little bit of PR. So come out, do your little shit with the fucking thing in your hand, and get the hell off my stage.
Right.
But these people are going up there fanatical.
They're just excited. Everybody's fully vaccinated, Noel.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
so we're just living the life now. I mean, they were blasting fun music throughout the whole thing.
Oh my God. Did you hear the song at the end? Fat Bottom Girls?
Oh, yes, I did.
Like, really? That's the song you put on?
There were a few of them there, I would say. You know.
Oh, man. Yeah, there was a few of them that sat in that chair. That's for damn sure. Okay, so let me get this straight. You've had harassment suits from Washington and this and that. You thought to cap off the draft as your final song, you should put on Fat Bottom Girls. Really?
Make the rocket world. Whatever.
I don't know.
Go
I was listening. I hear Jeremiah like finishing off and saying, you know, what he thought about the draft. I'm like, is that Fat Bottom Girls in the background? Really? That's what you guys are doing?
I was actually prepping for the show, and I heard it in the background. I was like, yeah, they're playing that? I wasn't fully paying attention, but yeah, it was. I thought it was a little odd myself.
It is. I mean, so you're doing all this PR stuff the entire show. We're vaccinated. Everybody's vaccinated here. You see? All the fans are vaccinated. Oh my God. You know, I thought they were going to. You text me, say, where's your vaccination pins? I thought
we can't have this discussion with that.
Yeah, Noel, are you vaccinated for this show?
But did you notice that Roger Goodell had the sticker, the big sticker on his coat? Yeah. And I was kidding at first, but then I realized that he actually did have it.
He did.
And I love how on NFL Network, we were both watching that one. You talked me out of watching the ABC version, but you know.
Oh, God, watching those fools on there.
Well, at least Trey Wingo wasn't on it.
Yeah,
it was
Desmond Howard's got a lot of credibility. One of the biggest all-time Washington busts of all time. Fuck him.
Right. Well, regardless of all that, he is a Super Bowl champion.
Good for him. A Super Bowl MVP.
MVP, yes, that is correct. What was I saying, though? The desk at NFL Network, they're all 6 feet apart, but then you go down and see them.
Like roaches.
It looks like a damn mosh pit down there.
Because they're not wearing masks, so they have to be distanced, Matt.
Right, of course. But were they vaccinated? I didn't see anything. Was that a fully vaccinated studio that they were there? Or desk?
Yes, it was.
Like the fully vaccinated war rooms that they had?
Did they wipe down that chair every time somebody's fat ass got in that thing?
I have no doubt. I was actually going to mention that.
There was a guy that had no shirt on that was laying it lathered up in that thing. He was doing a dance.
Well, COVID or no COVID, I think he should have wiped that down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shit, if they can do it at a gym, I guess they can do it at Goodell's fucking chair.
Did they do it like a gym? Like they gave him the spray bottle and they were like, all right, get to work.
What a dumb idea. Do you think that was actually his chair?
No. He would never allow those peons to sit in his real chair.
So it's like the fake dinosaur bones that they put out on display.
There's probably pleather, more than likely.
It probably was. He's like, yeah, right. I'm not letting these fucking losers sit in my real chair.
They probably burned it afterwards. But
there was also some crazy shit. The funniest part for me, and the most entertaining part of it, beyond the idiocy and dancing of, like, we get it, you're from New Orleans, so we dance.
Yeah.
That's all we do. We drink and we dance. We're on Bourbon Street.
We just party.
Like, with our umbrellas. Like, shut the fuck up. My God, we get it.
Like,
we
just pure stereotypes of these areas.
Right.
How did you get picked for that, to be one of the super fans or whatever?
You had to have an umbrella, Matt. And you had
obviously.
to be able to dance, and you have beads on. Yeah, that's just all people from New Orleans do all day long.
They go into office buildings for work, and they just have an umbrella walking in with beads.
Jazz playing all the time. That's
jazz,
it. But that trade?
Yeah.
The Eagles till the end. It's so great. Fuck over the Giants. It was so good. I loved it. So if people noticed it, but the Eagles had the 6th pick, right?
Right.
So they trade back to the 12th pick. It's like, okay, because let me start again.
They traded back to the 10th pick.
They traded back to the 12th, then they went back up to 10.
Right, okay.
Well, let me start again.
Okay.
So the most entertaining part for me was, the Eagles fucking over the Giants one last time. Everybody remembers the controversy with they lost the game to the Giants to get the higher pick. So they got the 6th pick in the draft. So they end up trading back to 12. Okay. And the Giants are at 10. Right?
Right.
Excuse me, at 11?
10. No, well, hold on.
The Giants were at 11.
Yes. Bears went to the Giants at 11, yeah.
Yeah. So the Eagles trade back to 12. So now the Giants at 10. Okay, great. We're higher than the Eagles now. Everything's right in the world. No. The Eagles trade with the Cowboys, of all people, to move up to 10 and hop them to get Devontae Smith, the wide receiver that the Giants wanted. You know that they wanted him. You know that they did. And what a hell of a receiver, too. Yeah. And that was just the last nail in the coffin on that Eagles-Giants controversy. It was so good. So great. And plus, just that. And it was with the trade with the Cowboys, too, which made it even better.
Yeah, fuck the Giants. I'll never forgive the Moras for what they did to us, during the whole mess with the salary cap, the unsalary capped year. But then fuck them, scumbags. Anything bad that happens to them,
no,
I'm
absolutely.
good.
I think it's great. I mean, I hate the Eagles beyond all, but I just think it's awesome the shit that they've been doing with the Giants lately. Just to finish it off with that.
Shame the Eagles got Smith, though. Gonna have to deal with that now.
So what else we got? We got the first 3 picks. Everybody knew was going to be quarterbacks. It was just a matter of who. You had, obviously, Lawrence. And then the second pick was...
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and then it was Mormon Boy. You want to talk about a fucking fish out of water.
Oh, my God.
That guy going to the Jets.
He's like, it's the only place I wanted. We're winning the Super Bowl. Oh, my God.
What a fucking dork.
Such a nerd.
Oh, my God. Born and raised in Utah. Even Melissa Stark had to comment on it. She was like, born and raised in Utah, but you're going to New York. How you feeling about that? Hey, always wanted to go to Times Square. It's
never been.
Meant to be. My question is he allowed to play on Sundays?
That's a great question. Well, if Mormon Jesus allows it, well, I guess it's okay.
I mean, in the tournament, if BYU goes into the tournament, they were going to rearrange shit so they didn't play on Sundays there. Mormons take that shit serious, man. Not doing anything on Sundays.
Well, I'm sure other BYU players have been drafted, but he's the,
I have a
level.
Mormon, come to find out, I have a Mormon kid on my soccer team. We had to reschedule our game, where our games are usually on Fridays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had to reschedule our game to a Sunday because there was a scheduling conflict. His mom emails me and says, for religious reasons, he can't play. Well, he's my best damn player. He's my center midfielder. I'm like, shit, what the hell do I do now? God can give me one. Right? So they take it seriously. Yeah, his dad went to BYU. That's how I found out.
Well, when you get paid millions of dollars, I guess going to heaven and hell
true.
Doesn't really matter, Noel.
This is true. Money cancels out God.
It does.
It's a good balance there.
So he's going to have an eternity in the flames of hell. But, as long as his current life works out for him, it's all that matters.
And then what? Trey Lance went third.
That was a surprise. Well, yeah, everybody kept saying
was.
San Francisco was going to get Mac Jones, and they traded up specifically for him.
Specifically for that, right. And then they started looking deeper, and apparently Trey Lance is their guy. And I think, honestly, the way this team is set up, I think that makes more sense for them anyway. But, hey, we knew 3 were going to go at that point. And then Mac Jones ends up going, and we're like, and I remember we're texting, we're like, all right, Fields is still on the board. Mac Jones is still on the board. All right. This is possible here. This is possible. And then
Bears trade up to get
Chicago trades
always
up.
Trying those Bears, I feel like they're always trading up in the first round. They're always trying something, and it just never seems to work out.
Well, I can tell you they needed a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
They needed a quarterback worse than Washington does.
Yes, agreed.
So that was a great move by them. They jumped up. They got the guy that they wanted, and Mac Jones is sitting there waiting on whoever the hell is going to do it, and he goes to New England. And I can tell you this. It was a 50-50 chance I thought he was going to go to New England, and I was a little disappointed. Not saying that Washington was going to necessarily take him, but I at least wanted the option there,
yes.
Right?
I think they would have taken.
But then he gets picked, and I see this fucker walking down like the hallway. I'm telling you, man, he looked like he had transitioned from a woman to a man.
Or was he transitioning?
This guy has better woman hips than my wife does.
And it's how he walks, like that slithery walk.
That slithery. He had the hips swaying, and he was walking. He had that pace to him. He either A, was transitioned, or B, had gastro bypass surgery, and that's where it stayed. Because on a woman, it stays in the hips, right?
Right, of course.
So I was like, all right, I'm good. After I saw that, I'm like, I was not disappointed at all.
Well, he's woke, I guess, right? How could you be woke in Alabama? I don't know, but I guess he figured it out.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's something going on there, but
there's something.
He's a fucking dork. What's with these dork quarterbacks? I mean, I'm sure he got fucking orgies every night of his life in Alabama, but I don't think he enjoyed it personally,
Yeah, I mean, he did it just to be part of it.
Yeah. Do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah, just like Zach Wilson. I mean, he hasn't done shit.
Oh, of course not.
So he's going to go into New York, right? And he's going to go out with like the rookies. Hey guys, don't you think we should make it back? Because usually, in fucking Salt Lake, probably things shut down at 8 p.m. They're out at 1, and he's like, I'm usually
this is a little late here, guys.
I'm usually up by now.
Shouldn't we head back? Well,
I'm Byron Kerr, your host for the Curly W podcast. Join me on the Curly W for the very latest on the Washington Nationals. We'll give you an inside look as to what's happening with the Nats right now, and give you also a chance to visit with Nats players and coaches, present and past, to tell you what it's like and what they hope to accomplish with the Nationals. From Fredericksburg to Nats Park, West Palm Beach to Rochester, Wilmington to Harrisburg, it's all Nats baseball. Subscribe to Curly W wherever you get your podcasts. Another great show from Empire Media.
Hello, it's Tyler Roman, former NFL scout and host of the Roman on the League podcast. Every week, I update my mock draft that not only looks at the best players available, but the needs for all first-round teams. The draft board keeps changing with all the movement this year, so tune into my show, Roman Around the League. That's ROMAN Around the League podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and check out all of the great shows from Empire Media.
Empire.
Do you want to talk about Washington's pick? So even though there was a shitstorm of rumors about trading up, and of course Washington stayed put at 19 as expected. So your Washington football team selected Jamin Davis, redshirt junior, linebacker out of Kentucky. So a couple measurables I wanted to get through here, which is pretty impressive. Davis is 6'3.5", 234 pounds, ran a 4.37 40. His vertical jump is 42 inches. Last year, Kentucky had 102 total tackles, sack and a half, 3 picks, 1 to the house. PFF gave him an 81.6 overall score. He's quite the athletic freak. And I wanted to give Todd McShay's evaluation on Davis. He said, quote, he does a really good job of getting through blocks. He's got a great short area quickness and suddenness. I love watching him because he reads the play so quickly, especially on run plays, and just shoots the gap. He's not great in coverage, but he can cover. To me, his ability to defend the run and then be able to cover, he's a complete guy. You saw in the pro day workout, his numbers were outstanding. He's such a good tackler in space as well. I can't say enough good things about him. There you go. So
that's strange because everything that I've seen, and after they had taken him, I watched some extensive film, and one of the primary things that they were high on was the fact that he could cover anybody.
Right.
So that's very strange that he says he can't cover, because everybody said that that's his main attribute right now because he's so still raw.
And he did a really good job covering Kyle Pitts when they played Florida.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean, they put him on every tight end. They put him on running backs.
I thought that was odd, too.
That was odd. So, sorry, McShay. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. As far as that, I'm glad you like the guy. But, as far as I'm concerned, I was a little confused because I thought they were going to take Owasu Koromoa out of Notre Dame, because you know what you're going to get. And he's the prototypical middle linebacker guy that they want, that you would think that Del Rio and Rivera would jump at.
Right.
But apparently not. This guy has, I guess, what they're looking for as far as upside. They have no linebackers. They couldn't cover you, Matt. So at this point in time,
debatable.
I think to start, what it looks like to me is Davis is probably going to be based on his coverage ability, is going to probably be the third down linebacker. They still have Holcomb, something like that.
And then Pierre Louis' spot, which is, I would think outside linebackers, they don't have anybody with speed like him.
But what I'm saying is initially they have guys, if this guy's raw still, if he's not ready yet, I think what their primary thing is going to be is to play him in coverage.
Yeah, I would
because
agree.
He has the speed, the size, and everything else. And then as he develops, then they can put him in as a full-time guy. But he's definitely, at some point, if they develop him correctly, which I have faith in Rivera and Del Rio, they will, he'll be the full-time guy playing 3 down. No doubt.
Yeah. Like I was saying with McShay, really likes him, of course. Kuiper and all the top mock draft guys had Davis sitting somewhere around 26 to 30, so they're considering it a bit of a stretch. But like you said, I trust Rivera and Hurney, for that matter, their evaluation at linebacker, probably more than any other position. I mean, Rivera was a linebacker with the Bears,
Del Rio was a linebacker. I mean, no.
Del Rio was a linebacker.
That's why I'm not, it's a little bit of a random pick. It's a little bit of a reach. But when it comes to the guys in the room, now, if this were offensive guys that decided to pick him. If it was Jay Gruden that was still the coach, for example, and they decided to go with this guy, I'd probably scratching my head a little bit more. But these guys have forgotten more about the linebacker position than most people would know in their lives.
Right.
So for that purpose, I'm going to have faith in the situation based on what he did with Carolina with linebackers and everything else. If they think it's a good fit, who am I to say that it's not going to be?
Yeah, and Rivera and Hurney, I mean, their only first-round picks they drafted linebackers were Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, and Shaq Thompson. Pretty good lineup there. I guess my only concern, you talked about this, but he's only started 1 year at Kentucky, which is kind of surprising. You think if the guy's like a complete athletic freak, he's got to be on the field from day one. He was even redshirted. That's a little bit of a concern because his first 2 years, he was basically just a special teamer.
Right.
And barely played at all. Last year was the only year that he started.
Is it like Latimer from the program? Remember that guy, the white dude?
Oh, that roided out.
Yeah, that roided out, and all of a sudden he just came out of nowhere, was like the beast D end.
Like, what happened to you in the offseason? Yeah, I don't know. But, Kentucky's had a pretty good defense, especially last year. They were pretty good. And playing in the SEC, it's no picnic from an offensive standpoint when you're playing those guys. But I would think with all the measurables and everything that he has, he wouldn't be able to keep the guy off the field. But 2 whole years of eligibility, he's barely plays. I don't know. It's a little concerning to me.
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. But if they can do that with quarterbacks, they can sure as hell do that with linebackers. Because most of these quarterbacks ain't played shit. At least he played in the SEC. Look at Lance. This guy's played 300 fucking snaps in his career at North Dakota State. If you think you're taking...
Well, that's just a total risk in itself,
right.
Picking him number 3 overall.
That's what I'm saying. So people are willing to take a flyer on that. I'll be willing to take a flyer on an athletic linebacker that, again, he has 2 guys that played great careers at the position. But it is a little concerning. I totally agree. But coming into this culture, I don't think it's going to be an issue. And if he doesn't pan out, it's on Rivera. Because this was his pick.
Yeah, and with their experience with drafting linebackers and just their first-round picks overall, they're pretty much like all pros or Hall of Famers. I'm sure that they'll just forget everything when they come to Washington, but I think probably he would have lasted until the second round. And I hope at least they tried to trade back because I don't think that he was the next guy, and I don't doubt that they did.
From what I gathered from watching the draft and everything else, he was the biggest reach.
Yeah.
Besides Leatherwood.
Yeah, Leatherwood.
From the Raiders, where Jeremiah looked at the TV like a deer in headlights when the Raiders took him, and he didn't want to talk shit because his boy was the one that picked him.
Yeah, he was like Mike Mayock's understudy
right.
or
so they're
something.
Looking
so
at each
he,
other.
God forbid.
Yeah, him and Rich, like, Daniel, you look like you've seen a ghost. Rich is like looking, I'm like, and then he's like, well, if you get your guy, it doesn't really matter when you pick him. If he's your guy, he's your guy. And then he kind of turns it around. He's like, he had Leatherwood on like a 3rd round grade. Like, all right, Mayock, do what you do.
Shit, man.
Yeah, Raiders do some weird shit.
They have been right, though, a couple times, too, though, with those stretch picks. But
that's not the only thing when it comes to the draft. It's all about managing when you take them, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because, you could get it right, but you could have gotten it right in 2 rounds and then gotten another guy right.
Or tried to trade back.
Like, if Washington could have potentially traded back to the bottom of the 1st and gotten this guy, you would have probably gotten an additional 3rd or even maybe an additional 2nd.
Absolutely.
So what are we talking about? That's where it comes in. Yeah, good. Hey, if he becomes an all-pro, it's all forgotten, right? But also, you could have gotten an all-pro in the 2nd round when you traded back.
But everybody always says that, but you have to have somebody who also wants to trade up.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have no doubt that every team tries to trade back when their guy isn't there. Or when they feel like, okay, we want this guy, but we know he's going to last. Of course, they're going to give it a shot, but
the Giants found a trading partner in Chicago.
No, they did, but that was early on. I mean, I think it's a little bit different in that situation, and they wanted a quarterback.
Right.
Quarterbacks, teams do whatever the fuck they have to do to get.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, hey, we don't know yet. This is one of those that he's an athletic freak that can do a lot of things. They say he's raw. They say they just need to hone his skills down and narrow things down. I think just keep it simple with the guy initially and go from there and hope that it works out. But good job, Washington.
Well, we know we got a quality special teamer out of this, if nothing else.
At least, yeah.
God, that'd be rough. But I have faith in them. So let's move on to the second day of the draft, which obviously the first round is now over.
It's moving day, Matt.
It's moving
That's what
day.
they call it. Yeah, the second
Zona.
day is moving day. Yeah, like at the Masters Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday's moving day. Friday, second, third round, man. This is the big time. Everybody says it's like the 6th, 7th. Yeah, you could find some diamond in the rough, but second round and third round is where you find guys that make serious, immediate impact as well. Sometimes just as much as the first, and Washington sucks at them.
Well, third's been good. Second, whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Let's hope we change that whole routine there. But the third round, McLaurin and Gibson, the last 2 years, you can't get much better than that.
No, you can't.
But again, they have a different front office. So we wanted to kind of go over some guys. Look, we're not doing the top 5, and I'm sure some of you are disappointed in that, but think of this more as like a top 3, because we're going to go over the top 3 needs.
And the best remaining guys that are on the board. So we're basically going to play War Room for a minute and say, hey, this is what we need. Because now when the draft starts to go on, yes, you go with best guy on the board, but also you kind of try to balance that out with needs. So what we're going to do is kind of go over some needs of the best remaining players that are on the board after the first round.
And there are some surprising guys that are still left on the board. And I think a lot of that has to do with the 5 quarterbacks that were taken. And to be expected, you're going to push some good players when you have 5 quarterbacks, which does not happen very often. So Washington has the 51st pick in the second round and also the 74th and 92nd in the third round, thanks to the Trent Williams trade. With linebacker out of the way, which I think we both agreed was their number 1 need.
I would say linebacker, and probably most glaring need after that and most important position would be tackle.
Right, but I'm saying in Rivera and Del Rio's defense, linebacker's everything.
Agreed.
And we saw last year when you don't have a good linebacking core, you can get run over.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what your D-line is. So hopefully this Mr. Davis will help that situation out, and then hopefully they get a couple more. But the first one we're going to go with is left tackle. We talked about this before. There were 4 tackles taken off the board in the first round. And honestly, I thought Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech was probably going to be the 19th overall pick.
Completely agree with you. And that's what I was about to say, Matt. I was like, all right, we're going Darrisaw here, or we're going with the linebacker out of Notre Dame. One of the two, and Darrisaw should be the guy, because he is, at that point in time, this is kind of a tackle-thin draft. There's some guys that, okay, they're good in college at tackle, but they might play guard shit.
Yeah.
This guy was plug and play, done. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's for sure. I totally agree with you there.
So maybe they think that they've got something in Sadiq Charles. Keep in mind, they did draft him in the third round last year, who was supposed to be like a first-round pick because of character concerns or whatever. He dropped to the third. So there's him, but with left tackle, it would be nice to get a Trent Williams type, which you're probably not going to get in the second round. But my guy that I was looking at is Walker Little from Stanford. He apparently had a lot of development in the last year in 2020. Him as a sophomore in 2018, he only allowed 1 pressure over his final 7 games. He looked like shit, and then he took a huge jump, kind of like how Davis did last year. So that's a little concerning, but it's pretty thin, honestly, at the left tackle spot with those 4 taken, and that's why I'm pretty disappointed that they didn't go with the Virginia Tech guy.
Especially since only 2 linebackers were taken the entire first round.
Right.
You had Micah Parsons taken at linebacker, and then you had Davis. So, I mean, you could have waited on linebacker pretty good and then taken Darrisaw. You're right. But here we are. So let's continue on with what we can do and not what we could have done.
Yeah.
No, the Walker Little pick, hey, he's from Stanford. He's got to be smart, right?
Nothing else, yeah.
Sometimes they're late bloomers out there. That mental game has to catch up with the body.
Being an offensive tackle or offensive lineman in general, people don't really realize how smart you have to be to play that position. And left tackle's tough. I mean, I think that he's got long arms. I think he could play the role. I just don't think at this point there's enough talent on the left tackle board to even really consider like moving up or anything. I mean, he was 26 on the PFF ranking board, which, was higher than Davis was.
No, I mean, hey, you take a flyer on a guy in the second or third round and hope that he pans out, I guess. But yeah, you can't reach. We're just picking a position right now of need. So I'm going with Tevin Jenkins, Oklahoma State. Okay. This guy's a beast. Now, they're saying they can plug and play with this guy is from the things that I've seen and that some of the experts have talked about, and he has a high upside. A lot of the issues that he has is kind of like in the run blocking.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, but
add more of that.
But wouldn't you rather have a guy that can pass block better than he can run block?
Oh, absolutely.
So what the fuck? So overall, he's the usual left tackle in college. Consistency issues. He's a little shorthanded, whatever it is. Otherwise, he would have been a first-round pick. But at least he has the size for it, and he's high on the PFF board as well. I had him ranked second as far as tackles that were remaining. And actually, I agree with you with the Walker Little thing. I had him on there as well.
All right. Well, it's tough to evaluate the lineman position as layman's, but you know, I think that those are the best available guys that we have, and one of those guys in the third.
We're talking second or third round here. I mean, that one probably is more around the third round line.
So the next in line for needs right now is free safety. I think we can all agree with that. Not a single safety was taken in the first round, surprisingly. So, Noel, what's yours?
I've got Richie Grant out of UCF, Central Florida. And I watch a lot of American football.
You do?
Yeah.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, I know you do. And he's a beast. The guy flies around. The only kicker is he's just a little small. Got to put a little bit of meat on his bones. The guy's 6 feet, 197. So he's got to put a little meat, but great coverage, ball hawk, does it all. He's not, and even though he's small, he's not afraid to get his nose in there.
For a free safety, that's not that small, though. I mean, that's not like if he adds like 5 pounds, I think it's okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. Over a period of time, as he grows into a complete adulthood, he's going to put on a little mass just by growing up. So for me to start at 6 feet, 197, just by eating freaking the way NFL guys do, is going to put on 10 pounds. And being in the weight room. So I'm not really worried about it. I'm just saying if I had to knock a little bit on the guy, he's probably a little bit light. That's all. And as a single high safety, that type of guy, that's what this team needs, man. Fuck this safety in the box bullshit. They need a center fielder that can go fly around. And that's exactly what this guy does. He's fast as shit. He's been awesome the last 2 seasons. That defense was good. And he was an impactful part of the defense. It wasn't because he had a million guys surrounding him like Alabama. UCF just plays good ball.
Yeah, anything to get the possibility of Landon Collins playing out there, I'm all for. So with that being said, and this is surprising that he was not drafted. He was number 16 on PFF's board, and higher on a lot of boards, honestly, was Trayvon Merrick. A lot of... I've seen
dude.
some.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he's 6'2", 202 pounds. I mean, he's a big safety, and can add weight to that as well. But 6'2". So I saw a lot of mocks with him going to Washington at 19.
Yeah, me too.
So I think personally, you'd have to probably trade up a little bit higher in the second round to get him. Maybe give up one of your thirds. But if they like him a lot, I think that'd be a great pick. Now, I'm not sure why he wasn't drafted in the first round, but he led all safeties in the FBS with breakups the last 2 seasons. He is a true free safety, and that's what this team needs, like you said. He has exactly the size that you need for the position, the speed, the ball hawking ability.
They're talking about this guy being an immediate starter.
And he would be on this team.
I'm talking about just in general, if there's a team that needs a safety. We're not talking about detrimental need like this team, like you've got Apke. I'm talking about just a team that would draft a safety that he's immediate plug-and-play guy, that he can go in there and he has all the attributes, just like Richie Grant does. The one thing I do like about Merrick a little bit more is obviously we talked about the size aspect. He's 2 inches taller. He's got some more, and you can see look at the highlights of this guy. He's a big dude, and he can get up, he can jump, 50-50 balls. He's always there. That would be a phenomenal pick. One of those 2 guys as their second round pick, I would be very happy because I think that's a glaring need. We talked about tackle, but tackle, as we went over it, very thin. And you could be potentially reaching. I think when we were talking about tackle, that's probably more third roundish.
I would agree.
But these 2 guys that we're talking about at the safety spot are definitely what we're looking for as far as probably second rounders.
Yeah, and again, probably have to trade up to get him because he'd probably be the top 5 of the second round.
Yeah.
Hey, if they do like him, then they need to do it because that is a gaping hole right now. All right, so last one, tight end. And obviously, we've got our starter set there. And the only actually other tight end that was picked in the first round was Kyle Pitts, obviously, 4th overall. But
man, he is awesome.
Yeah,
you want to talk about a guy that has all the attributes.
Yeah.
Size, speed, blocking in college. Obviously, when they work on him in the NFL, he's going to have to do that on a more regular basis. But man, you see the highlights of this guy and you see him playing on the field. He is a man among boys. Yeah. I don't care, even if when he was playing fucking Alabama, where they're all men. Most of the time when you watch like an Alabama game, you look at the other teams. Sometimes if it's like, if you play with like Alabama and you see them playing like fucking Mississippi State or some shit,
Right.
You just see the disparity in size across the board. Yeah, the other team might have a couple big dudes, but man, across the freaking 11 across the field, you got to be like, holy shit. It's like you haven't gone through puberty yet.
Well, hopefully he doesn't have, any interest in murdering people like other certain Florida tight ends.
Right. But we digress. Go ahead. Now, Washington obviously isn't going to get Pitts, so who are we going to get, Matt?
So tight end's a little thin this year in the draft, but I think because it's the third need right now, and there's only, in my opinion, one guy that can do a little bit of everything, and that's what you need out of your second tight end. Not one of those Jordan Reed types, even though that would be great, but a guy that can block because he is going to be the second guy that can be on the field at the same time as a starting unit. So mine is Pat Freiermuth.
Penn State.
Yep. He was Penn State's offense, their focal point.
Oh, my God. Absolutely.
And then he went down with the shoulder injury, so I think that might be a reason why he dropped a little bit. But he had 310 yards in 4 games and 23 catches. The guy's 6'5", 260 pounds. He is a massive human being. And if that guy can't block someone, I mean, he's basically like almost the size of a tackle.
They call him Baby Gronk.
Yeah, he can do a little bit of everything. He's not dominant at everything, but shit, I take a flyer on him.
I am a huge fan. When we were talking about this before and we were kind of listing off some guys and we were texting each other, I've watched this guy since day one. Love him. I would be ecstatic if they got him. He has the full package. He's not a burner, but at 6'5", 250, what the hell do you want the guy to do? He's big. He posts guys up. He goes up and gets it. He's going to score you touchdowns. He's got great hands. He's got all the attributes of a tight end that you could possibly think of. Does he need to work on his blocking a little bit more and being dependable in run blocking? Yes. You're going to find that in every single college tight end.
Even Pitts.
Exactly.
So they just don't do it.
And we've talked about this before. If that's their only thing, he has the size, and it's just having to have to do it.
Right.
So I am not worried about his run blocking at all. And I think he can be, we're talking about a backup tight end. He will be a starter in this league. I'm telling you that right now.
It'd be a nice little tandem with him and
Absolutely,
Logan Thomas.
Absolutely, 100%. But with him, you have the ability to disguise runs and passing, is my point. Logan Thomas, if he's out there, most likely it's going to be a pass.
They get better, though.
No, absolutely. But that's the whole premise of things. That's why they're getting linebackers that are versatile or whatever the case may be. They want 3-down guys. That's why they got rid of Peterson, for example, at running back, because they didn't want that, definitely run here. So with a guy like Freiermuth, you're looking at a guy that can just do everything. I would be surprised if he didn't go in the second round unless he just shit the bed at his pro day.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, New England is obsessed with getting 2 tight ends. They just paid a shit ton of money. I mean, they by far have the most money invested in the tight end position. So that's a good model to follow there. And
Absolutely.
if this guy comes out and you can have 2 tight ends on the field at the same time, both that are pretty good at blocking, and you don't have any clue if you're going to be running or passing, you're already ahead of the game.
Plus the fact that they're in dire need of one.
Oh, absolutely, too.
But with mine, since you went with him, I figured if for some reason he's not on the board, Brevin Jordan out of Miami. He's another big dude, 6'3", 247 is what they have, his measurables. And this guy is fast, big, again, needs a little bit work, but overall, he has great route runner, does it all. And they were showing some statistics on him. He is a burner down the seam. 63% of his yards come after catch. He's not one of those tight ends that catches it and then is taken down or something like that. So
we should expect 28 concussions and an early retirement.
Exactly. Hey, as long as you can get a few years out of him, right?
All right.
But yeah, I mean, so that tells us something in itself that 63% of his yardage is coming after catch. He's going down the seam. He's catching balls. And Miami knows how to raise those tight ends, man.
Well, they did in the 90s at least.
In the 90s at least. 2000 too.
Yeah, 2000. It's true.
Yeah. I wouldn't be unhappy with him either. I think that would be a really good pick as a replacement. If they can't get Freiermuth, then I'm totally good with Jordan.
Yeah, just no reaching for these guys just because of needs, And I don't think that this front office is going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I am a little concerned about Davis that they did reach for him because they felt the need at linebacker. I hope they didn't, but they know linebackers, and this guy maybe he'll be a Hall of Famer because of their track record. But fuck, I don't know. Kind of makes me sad because they probably could have got him in the second round.
Well, at this point, it's just a wait and see. And this year we'll actually maybe get some preseason, so we'll be able to see the guy flying around with the second unit probably to start out with and things like that, and we'll see what happens. That's why the draft happens, Matt. You have hopes and dreams and everything in between.
For so many years, everybody that the Washington drafted, we've been so hopeful of, and the majority of them have not worked out. We looked at some old drafts, like Jesus Christ, there's nobody left.
Yeah,
last year was a good draft, but it's a new regime.
Well, if they listen to us,
listen
and
to
our
us.
round 2 and round 3 picks, then we should be fine.
I know Rivera's a listener to the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he knows. Why wouldn't he be? Got anything else?
No, I think that's it. I'm excited. I'm tired. I'm excited for round 2 and round 3 today, and we'll see where it goes.
I was going to say, speaking of listening to our show, obviously the producers at Mortal Kombat listen to our show because they found out that we made fun of the Get Over Here. And so they changed into the real Scorpion
They did. Get
voice.
over here. All of a sudden, I had to rewind it and say, "Oh man!"
Well, you told me about it. I didn't notice, and I went back and watched. I was like, "Oh yeah, they did change it."
So somebody's listening to us out there.
Yeah, big Beltway Sports Bros fans.
I've noticed some changes around things. I'm like, you know what? Before a year ago, before we started this show, that change wouldn't have happened. But since Beltway Sports Bros has been on, you damn right. We've got some influence now, Matt. Don't kid yourself.
You know who does not listen to this show is JP Finley, because he's actually getting worse every day. I swear to God, I've never seen a human being say the dumbest shit just so consistently on Twitter, on his stupid... I mean, I don't listen to his radio show, but
right.
I'm going hard at JP these days because he's getting worse and worse. There's something wrong with that man. Anyway...
Well,
have a good day, JP.
Enjoy your day, JP, because you got more coming.
Yes, please make sure you keep tweeting after people tweet information about the team you're supposed to be covering. Great job.
Right. It reminds me of like a person that just forwards an email at work.
Right. Piggybacking off of what you just said.
So just see below, like on the forward. Like, really? So you had no input on this at all. You did was just copy and paste something.
Yeah.
Excellent. Where you're getting paid to do that.
This guy, all right, before we go, this guy literally wrote down when Eric Flowers got traded over, which we didn't talk about, but Eric Flowers got traded from the Dolphins, and he wrote down on like a little piece of paper the new offensive lineman.
I saw that.
It was like a child wrote it, and he took a picture of it and tweeted it.
A folded up fucking piece of paper that had like a coffee ring on it.
Yeah.
This guy's supposed to be a professional reporter, and this guy takes a picture of a fucking piece of paper he took out of his back pocket and wrote like the depth chart of the offensive line on it in scribble. I couldn't even read half of what the hell it was.
Like he was putting out the U.S. Constitution or something. Like it was, of course, I couldn't contain myself, so I wrote to him, "Oh, did you come up with that all by yourself or something like that?" And like with like a sloth.
He did come up with it by himself.
He did.
He wrote it.
The craziest part was that there was like 30 retweets from that fucking... And what is wrong with you? If you retweeted that, please stop listening to this show immediately. There's something seriously wrong with people that people are obsessed with this guy. And maybe we're on the side of like obsessed to hate him, but if you like him and think that he's good at his job, you need to get your head examined. Please.
Yeah.
Do us all a favor.
It's all generic information. It's all the same old shit. It's all copy and paste. His entire career has been one big copy and paste. And that's all it's been. At least I guess I give him credit on this one. He definitely didn't copy and paste that because he wrote it on a fucking piece of toilet paper. But so I'll give him credit there. But yeah.
Great job. You wrote the depth chart of the offensive line, inserting Eric Flowers into the left guard spot. Nicely,
excellent.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Great job, JP.
Maybe that's what we should do.
Just write stupid shit.
Yeah.
Put no thought in anything. That's how you get popular in the D.C. area, apparently.
Oh, stop. We've got intelligent people in the Beltway area.
Oh, I know. They're the ones that listen to us. No, they're definitely not the ones that listen to JP.
Right.
Anywho.
Well, ending on a high note.
That is.
I'm actually thought that I'd be a little bit more negative towards the pick, but I think that it's okay based on who we have as coaches, and I think he's going to be all right. How quickly he comes along remains to be seen, but ending on a high note, I don't think it was a horrible pick. It's a we'll see pick.
In Ron we trust, Noel.
In Ron we trust.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. We're on all major podcast platforms. Please rate, review, and subscribe. If you like this show, please share it on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, the Facebook group, and our website, beltwaysportsbros.com. Thanks again for listening. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the draft, and we will see you on Tuesday.